Howdy, everybody. I am back to do the final film thus far in the Exorcist franchise. Word through the grapevine is that somebody, I want to say Blumhouse, who've done really amazing work in the horror community over the last decade or so, they're somebody is looking to do sort of a Halloween 2018 type of thing with The Exorcist, which I'm at least interested in. I'll give them that. Especially since this was the final film released for the franchise. There was a TV show, I believe on Fox. I never saw it. I still haven't. And I don't plan on covering it anytime soon. So sorry for any of those fans that might be watching this. But anyway, Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, was originally shot by Morgan Creek. They hated this cut and had somebody else come in and redo it. But after that one kind of flopped, they released the OG version, directed by Paul Schrader, and again starring Stellan Skarsgård, who I forgot to name check when I did the requel, prequel, reprequel, the other one. So again, the scripts were pretty much the same. So if you've seen the other movie, you kind of already seen this one. The only difference is mild character changes, differences in pacing, smaller stuff like that. Like in this one, we open with the backstory of Marin, how he lost his faith, how the Germans drug him out in the war and had him point to the bad people in the community to show their power. Because it's the end of the war, the Germans are pulling out, but they still have to make everybody fear them. And I'm actually really happy that this one opens with that. I didn't mind it being kind of cross-threaded through the story of the other one, but it helps to kind of open with that, especially because this Marin isn't entirely out of the church yet. He's left, but he hasn't been completely fired or quit the priesthood. He's on that cusp of, well, maybe. I don't know. Very nonchalant, whatever. I'm doing my own thing right now. And he's been in East Africa digging out this church that cannot possibly be there. The timeline doesn't add up because the Byzantine Empire, though they did adopt Christianity by 500 AD, they never journeyed this far south. So having a church here makes no sense. And he's digging it up, and young priest shows up. They're interested. British Army major. He is a major. I looked that up. They're all interested in this. What's going on? Check it out. So they finally dig it out, get inside. Weird church. Makes no sense because nothing's weathered. It's all pristine, even after 1,500 years, which in the African sun, wind, sandstorms couldn't have happened unless it was built and buried all in the right around each other. So that's an instant red flag. Makes no sense. And the stones, the jewels, are from all over. So it's even weirder that they would bring stones from the Middle East, France, stones from everywhere here. Why? And they find the catacombs underneath, and what it looks like is it was old pagan ritual type sacrifices in this cave. They built the church over top of it, like to show the locals, our God is greater than your God. Like, all right, that lines up. But naturally, once they open the doors, things start getting wonky. Like hyenas showing up a little early. All right, it's Africa, things like that can happen. And then hyenas being killed by the local tribe's cattle, who then eat the hyenas and die. I grew up on a farm. I've seen cows eat weird things, so that's not completely out there for me. But it works both ways. It's a little weird, or it's a lot weird, kind of depending on what you know. And there's, I want to say, a local boy, young man. I wouldn't put him past maybe 22. And he's crippled because the locals believe he's cursed and he doesn't like coming around people. But he'll at least sort of come around Marin and the doctor lady. And, alright, he's kind of anti-people because of the way the locals have treated him, but he's willing to trust these two. And they get him after Marin finds him beat up, and he has lesions on his arm, gets him to the doctor. They decide they're going to treat his leg. They can at least fix his leg. His arm is kind of a lost cause. They start fixing his leg. They end up having to re-break it, reset it, all that. And then he starts healing ridiculously fast, which, instant red flag. Oh, that's not good. And then the tempers of the locals and the army kind of climb up. And one scene I kind of really enjoy in this one that they didn't have in the other one was the English major isn't having it. He's instantly affected. He is not right. And he does the same thing that the Germans did in the opening. He pulls all the locals in after some of his men are found dead in the church, crucified upside down and beheaded after they went and snuck inside to steal some of the jewels. And he can't believe it. British gentlemanry, all that. And he ends up shooting one of the local women in the head who helped work with the doctor, knew some modern medicine, things like that. And it's that instant flip for Marin, like, I've already seen this. No. He even ends up punching him, which I loved, because the guy's a douche. And the major's done. Like, he gets it now, because in this one, everybody already knows Marin's story, and that, all that. And so the major ends up putting his gun in his mouth. Like, he's done. He clocks out. And tempers are rising again. Things aren't looking good. And our young priest finds out that this young boy is possessed after he starts having a crisis of faith, because the locals are now against Christianity, which they blame for all this weird stuff that's going on, particularly now that the church is dug up. And it's getting kind of wonky. And so, boy's possessed, we got to do something. So he suggests a baptism, which everybody's kind of like, fine. Marin isn't too happy about it, but he's like, fine, do what you want. So the priest, the doc, and the boy go up to the church, and they're going to do it, but when the holy water hits the kid, it causes these lesions. And when they pull him away, he heals up. And then it's, oh no. So before the father can give him the baptism, the demon takes over. The priest takes off to try and find the Book of Roman Rituals, which has the exorcism in it. And the demon brings a rock up out of the ground to cover the door, so nobody can get in to stop him. So the demon is stuck in there with the doctor lady. And oh no. And the locals they're unhappy. The army people are setting up some defenses, because they're coming tonight. They're gonna try and kill us. We're not gonna do that, no. And the next morning, no, the locals have pretty much scampered off. But our young priest is found with arrows in him, pinned to a tree. And they get him down, and he's dying. But he convinces Marin, you have to save this boy. You have to find this strength in you to do it. And they're trying to get the doors open, and finally the rock shifts somehow, and Marin can get in. And he gets in, he gets the doctor lady out and confronts this demon. And the doctor is unhappy because whatever dream she was in was about her time during the war, where she was just trying to survive. And if you've seen like Schindler's List or read a lot of books about the war, you know, if you got stuck in one of these concentration camps, you were screwed. And so a lot of people had to do things they wouldn't normally do, screw over their friends, their family, do a lot of unspeakable things just to survive to tomorrow. And what the demon had done was kind of give her this fantasy world where she was able to not do that. She didn't have to screw over everybody. She didn't have to do all these things. She was able to still be herself and not carry around this guilt, the survivor's guilt that she has. So she's shook. She is not doing well as everything outside's going left. Marin leaves, and I have to save this kid. This kid is an innocent, he's a good kid. I gotta stop this thing. So he puts on the full regalia, gets the book, and goes back in. Right past the army guys, doesn't even notice him. He's reading, he's getting ready, he's got this. Gets back into the church, gets into those catacombs, and faces the demon. That sends him back to when he was drug out by the Germans. And this time, he fights back, kills the commanding officer, but everybody is massacred. And it's the demon lying with the truth. You know, you shouldn't have to carry this, but look what your God did. No matter, you couldn't do this because your God doesn't love you. All the stuff that Marin's kind of been telling himself through all of this, the demon is now agreeing with him, showing him it was a lost cause. There was nothing you could do because of this. And Marin manages to finally exorcise the demon. And he's gone. The boy is saved. The day is saved, all that. End of the movie, he's back. He's got the collar on. Unfortunately, the young priest is dead and buried. The doctor lady is going to stay to help everybody out. The locals are cool now. The army's pulling out, more or less. And Marin has rediscovered his faith. Okay. I don't hate this movie. Don't get me wrong here. It works. There are a couple of scenes I particularly enjoyed. I do like that the major kind of falls into just that evil, everybody's against me. You can't be against me because I'm the best. That. I like how that played out. I like that little storyline. A lot better than in the original. Body count's definitely a lot lower this time. The climax, not as good as the last one, honestly. But it keeps in line with pretty much all the climaxes throughout this entire franchise. Marin's story, I like where it starts. He's not entirely against religion. He's just kind of on the fence of, no. Like, there's this. And it just kind of started his wheels spinning. It couldn't grasp anymore that there was a higher power out there watching out for everybody. And then he was able to find it a little quickly. I do think that the other one played that up a little better of how he rediscovered his faith. Whereas this one, he was more in the gray area, and it was like, okay, let's do this. So, yeah. Not great, not bad. Is it better than the last one? Nah, I don't think so. I'd probably much rather watch the beginning over Prequel 2, I guess. But it's still a decent watch. Nothing particularly hate-filled about it. I do like that not every character we've ever met from beginning to end ends up dead. That was nice. But this probably isn't something I'm going to pull off the shelf and watch once a year. So, where do I put Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist? I'd probably give it a 2 out of 5. Not bad, not good. It's enough to fill 2 hours, if you're curious. Kind of one of those. Still better than the second one. Another issue with a 1 to 5 grading scale. Like, it's the same number, but I'd much rather watch this one over The Heretic. So, there's your Halloween warning for the year. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.